Ladies and gentlemen, hello. So, this is the Studio 3 I use for my recording session most times. I used to use the one next door, but the problem with that one was that there was always issues with that one and always people messing around with a mixing desk. But this one, I find this one easier. A lot of people find this one hard apparently, but I'm like, I prefer this one better. So, after these 5 years, I basically think now my time's up, and I worked my way up from school to where I've been in special needs department in school and 3 years in special needs department in college, and until I got that qualification I went to level 1 music course and I got distinction in that one, and now in my final year level 2, which I think is going to be a merit, so I believe is a merit this year, so there we go. What can I tell you about this studio? Yeah, it's quite a big room, and this is where the vocals can record as well. So this is a software called Logic, so I use that for my productions and mixing and all that. There's lots of different effects to apply as well during your day, as well during your experience, let's say. I can't get my words right. There's the mixing desk as well, so you need to understand your input and your EQ effects and your reverb, delay, EQ effects. So I think I mentioned those in the past, or you might hear of those effects as your project goes on as well. But you need to know your EQ effects and your reverb delay for your vocals and as your recording sessions as well. But the important thing is that we got a button right at the corner of the door. Is when you switch it on with lights, and as well there's a red display tells you that there's a recording session, so when people can see at the top corner, they can see that it's recording sessions and nobody should be going through. So unfortunately sometimes people do walk in and not realising there is a recording session going on, and I find that quite annoying. But unfortunately, unless it's so urgent about the cable that they needed, pains really. But yeah, I still think it's a bit annoying when there's a clearly sign at the top saying there's someone recording, like now I'm recording this. Whereas, I don't know. So, what made me want to do the music course? Well, doing what my cousin did, just produce music on Logic and work my way up and understand about the effects and panning more. So panning, what I mean by that, like imagine I could see you and you're central, right? Bass and drum need to be in the middle, whereas percussion can be left hand side -10 and lead guitar 5, but you want extra melody on the +15. It's about different range of elements putting them in a position like an orchestra, for example. There's a wide range of instruments on this software. The software costs £200, max depending really, so I would research personally. Right, you've got all sorts of range of sounds. You've got organ, vintage organ, you've got a wide range of strings, effects like Chinese, guitar, you got voice, you got different types of voices, you got percussion, you got Caribbean sounds. You've got lots of range of sounds on there. If you always want to do all sorts of range round sounds and all that, that's kind of the software you need. Whereas Fruity Loops, which I've got at home, I rarely use now, because this is popular than the one I've got at home, which is Fruity Loops. So yeah. The important thing is you need to know your effects and EQ effects and how to make things sharp and clear better to make it more attractive. When it's you just do drums and kick, snare, hi-hat, open, it just sounds like anyone can do. You just play some, but if you want to make it more effectively and sharp and nice, then you want to do individual layers of track, like hi-hats one row, kick middle to make it hard and sharp. It's about making sure that the wave is not too much open. When you want just to kick, you need to EQ filter shorter to a certain point. So if all that wave goes up to there and it's not there, all of it, then you might as well just cut the EQ to a certain area that you wanted as well. Especially when you hear it, it sounds very different. Hi-hat will be the highest end, and you want to finish it like that. If you just do that's open. When you want it thinner, it sounds really crispy and nice. So that's the important thing as well. So there's lots of different pedal effects and gains and stuff, but you need to know your inputs for your guitars and microphones, because this mixing desk is a reason why you need to know. Mixing desk is the important thing. So like input 3 could be microphone for your recording vocals. Input 5 could be guitar. Input 4 it could be your bass. And you need to make sure as well it doesn't go to a certain high balanced level. So 3.0 on Logic is your high, well, your highest on here will be 6.0. Now, overall track, you need to make sure it's not beyond the 3.0, otherwise it'd be too much loud and your quality finish on the CD quality way will sound rubbish and it just won't sound good. Whereas 2.5 could still be good, but it'll still be loud. So like you might notice the screen is quite good. Yellow means it's fairly alright, and then when it goes to red, it means it's too loud. And it's just too extreme as well, especially for the bass. So you need to make sure your balance of each track of instruments needs to be in the right position. And that's where Logic is there for a reason to understand. Knowing your inputs, knowing your EQ, of whereas some instruments need to be adjusted or make it more interesting, crispy. And that's why I use Logic most times. And that's where you produce your tracks most times. Whereas you could just do instrumental on Logic and then save it, put it upstairs, which I am now, and then do vocals on top of it. So I can show you what I've done so far for the instrumental. But I'm not going to play the vocals because me and my cousin are actually working on it at the moment. So I just want to show you what I've done so far. So this is what I produced, but it's not worldwide yet, but then once it's officially done and my cousin mixed it, then we will produce it. So this is all my ideas that I put into it, so like synthesizers, effects, panning. I could just go all day, it's really good fun. No more, alright? That's the idea what I do for my productions on Logic. So I used all the elements to the track finish, and then once I've done that I'll save it and then just do vocals on top of it to make sure that the effects for the vocals and the balance of the volume needs to be in the position in the right place. The teachers always recommend put your vocals a little bit more louder than the track so that people can hear yourself more, otherwise you just hear more of the track more than the vocals, which sounds a bit rubbish. So again, just make sure it's all in good balance. So there you go, Logic is there, and it's quite expensive, but it's really good, and all sorts of famous people and less famous people use it as well. So make sure you understand the method as well. They do tutorials about effects of Logic as well, so if you want to do that, search on YouTube EQ effects or effects on Logic, or how to produce better productions on Logic. So have a look at those basically. There you go. Now I'm going to show you how to switch on your recording buttons. I like that one there. So I'm going to switch it off. That is your recording session time. So that shows, so if we were recording, for example, so like anyone in there recording, and anyone just walks in, that should tell you outside that there's somebody in there recording. But unfortunately, sometimes people just walk in thinking yeah, I'm going to open it, and not realising that is on while we're recording. And that gets a bit annoying after a while. With the mixing desk, so what I was saying earlier, I use input 3. So like on here, let us just show you on the Logic and all that. Let's open, for example, audio. So that's the new audio. I mean, I've got loads of audios, forget all these. So these are the new, that's audio. So it's audio 4. So it says on here input 3. So input 3. So open that one. And what it should do, depending on what you've got a song on, it should come up on here that it's playing. So mainly you need to make sure that that's the whole track section. So you need to make sure that the whole track section is no longer than that, because otherwise it would just be too loud. And that should be around here. And this is your individual track section, so you can EQ it. You need to open the EQ, so I can show you actually. So EQ filter I was telling you about. So this is your different types. So that's your bass line, that's your like middle section, and then that's a high. So to make it low filter when your track plays, I can actually try it, come out of that one. Let's play this one. So I open that. So you can see the wave filters to it. To make it thinner, I could do this. So you see what I mean? You can, that's EQ filter, so that's low filter. That's your low cut and high cut filter if you want to get interesting. And these are your different, oh, go away! These are your different type of mixing effects. So like, I want to do this one for example. Let's try open that one, that will sound different now. But we're not going to use that, but that's an example of it. So there's all sorts of reverb. And you can use a reverb, so bus 2 is where you can make it higher and all that. There you go. So this is what I was telling you about. This is your effect mixer, so like that's your reverb, that's your mid, high, low, blah blah blah, as you can see. So that's the important thing about mixing. You need to understand the methods of different these for your vocals mainly. Yeah, that's one thing you need to know about Logic. You need to know your mixing effects of each EQ skills and the mixing volume balance, and your pannings there. So that's what I was telling you. So these go up to 63%. So like I was telling you about, the drums should be middle, synthesizers about there, percussion there, bass middle, blah blah blah. But there you go. That's the important thing about you need to know music. What I am really impressed about music this year is that I've now been fully in depth about how to use the equipment on Logic and using the solicitors in each studio. There's so much differences using the mixing and the equipment, because it's very strange how some things are, but it should be the same as like this one, for example. So they all should be the same, but you need to make sure the Logic setting is in the right position for what you do for your recording. Otherwise, if you don't know, then you're in a real situation that you don't know. Always be with somebody with the expert and their knowledge first before you actually do it independently, because otherwise you'll be really disappointed if you don't know about the industry of music. And what else was I going to say? Yes, college, as much as I'm learning, studios are for free, whereas outside college you have to pay for studios. So depending on how much they charge you, you have to do a lot of research about where studios are cheap. So there's quite a few around, but you just don't realise till you look up. So yeah, studios are not cheap unless you want to do your own studios and understand the industry. This is where you need to do the course really. So it's important to know your understanding of music industry, knowing understanding of paying rent of the studios, It's like paying house, but you're just paying out the studio and getting somebody to engineer and do work for you. But you need to make sure that you need to know all that stuff, especially. Recommend to do the course, definitely do the course.